I'm keen to talk to another VeeFriend holder. I reckon I've been talking a lot of the people here in Australia, right, who've got VeeFriends, but I kind of want to start hearing.
How many people do you know that are in Australia with them?
We've got, so there's an Australian VeeFriend group, sort of on a Discord channel, and there's around 100 people on there, but we're still from different places, right? So across Australia, so that's all the different main cities.
It's pretty big.
Yeah. But we've actually, there's one particular individual, so his name's Aldridge. I've met him in person, so that's the first person who's gone, awesome. I've met another VeeFriend holder, in real life. Have you actually met any VeeFriend holders out and about?
So I'm in San Diego, and there's, as you can imagine, there's a boatload of people in just California in general that have everything. We actually have a small little group here in San Diego, we call it like a San Diego VeeFriend group. We have about probably 50 members, but I think I think there are a lot of people who are not spectators, there are a lot of people who are just trying to learn stuff like the NFTs and all that stuff. But I think actual VeeFriend holders that I know that live in San Diego that I've personally met, at least 20.
Yeah.
So
okay.
that's still quite a bit, but there's actually a lot in LA obviously too, but a couple of them came down and they met with our group before, and a couple of our people went up there and met with them. But I've met probably just in California, I probably met about myself personally, probably 40, but I know about 20 of them in San Diego, which is pretty.
That's awesome. No, that's really cool. I mean, every time at the moment when I'm going through the Discord channels or talking to other individuals, I'm already obviously from our side in Australia, just planning to get over for Veecon next year. So, sounds like it's going to be maybe a simpler thing for the guys over in the US, other places. For us, it's, it's a really big trip, but, super keen to actually meet other individuals, other VeeFriend holders and everyone there. Just going to be awesome, man. I wanted to ask you a question, just kind of get to know you. 60 seconds, man. Who are you? Sort of where do you come from? And I kind of just want to sort of tackle. There's a couple of things I've got in my mind. I know there's a question you posed to me, but let's get started there. 60 seconons. Sure. Who is Jeremy?
Yeah. Quick 60 seconds. So I grew up in Louisville, Kentucky, long ways from California. And then I started whenever I was in Louisville. I knew I didn't want to be there pretty much forever, but it was a good learning foundation. But I always wanted to do marketing for big brands, because that was, at my time, was always my passion to do marketing. And so after I worked for a couple big companies, I worked for Caesars in Indiana, which is the huge casino. And then I got a job with Anheuser-Busch, Budweiser, and then worked for them in Louisville. And then they had a legal dispute, long story. And then I had to either find a new job or move cities. So I was like, well, it's the perfect opportunity to be able to move somewhere.
Yep.
So then after all that happened, I applied for a couple spots, and then I got offered a job here in San Diego. And then I took the job without ever having visited San Diego or California, and then flew all the way out here, and then just hit the ground running. And then ever since then, it was once I did that, it was all right, well, I did all of that and survived. I was what else can I do? So I was just always trying to push the envelope. So I was always, I guess you could say, a risk taker, but I always wanted to make sure I had all my cards in hand before I took a risk.
Yeah, gotcha. And how long ago was that you flew out to San Diego then?
I've been out here for almost 7 years now.
Almost 7 years.
I think it'll be right around. Yeah, it's coming up on something.
Gotcha. So I wanted to ask you a question, probably separately, because it's something that this is coming from an Australian listening to a lot of American podcasts. I hear a lot around California. So I think I was last in California in 2015, 2016, and sort of visited normal places, Los Angeles, San Francisco. Have you seen California change much? A lot of that we hear is, California, there's a lot of
COVID.
Sorry?
You mean for COVID or what?
No, from well, maybe from COVID, but also a lot of individuals talking about there's a lot of homelessness on the streets, a lot of
Oh,
tents and everything like that. What have you actually seen that too, even in San Diego?
it's absolutely insane. I mean, that's like everybody. I mean, I don't know what a quote unquote like foreigner's perception of everything is, but like here in America, like everybody, you know, you see you see homelessness like everywhere, like from like in California. Like from whenever I before I moved over here, you always hear about, you know, the craziness in San Francisco and like LA, like the extreme extreme rich people and then extreme, you know, poor people. It's like the extremists on both
Yeah,
sides.
big wealth
So
gap.
oh yeah, like huge. And then, you know, you kind of I never really paid attention to it that much whenever I didn't live here because it was like, yeah, it's whatever, it's not my problem. Like I'm not like desensitized or anything. It was just like,
Yeah.
well, that's California's problem, or because like we know we in Kentucky we had you know we have homeless people there too. I mean, they're everywhere, but it's not as bad, and it's more manageable, right? So, but ever since I moved out to San Diego, like there's a whole lot of homeless people because
Mm.
and there's two types of homeless people, right? You know, you have the homeless people that just want to be homeless because of San Diego, it's like glorified camping. It's like it gets cold maybe 1 month a year,
Yeah.
like really bad cold 1 month a year. And then, but since the pandemic, I mean, it's gotten completely out of hand. Whereas, you know, LA and San Francisco has already been just like it was already to start off with just absolutely awful.
Mm.
But now it's like I wouldn't even say double or triple down. It's like 5 times down. It's like a real
Wow.
problem that somebody needs to fix. It's like it's terrible.
Yeah, no, yeah. It's I mean, from a foreigner's view, it is a lot of what we hear, but I guess it's interesting to hear as well from someone who lives in California. It's also seen it for
Oh yeah.
that 7 year transition as well.
I
So
mean,
look,
yeah, you can see it getting worse.
yeah. So I mean, back to yourself though, Jeremy. So when you were talking about you had that movement from taking on a new job, going to San Diego. Was that also moving away from corporate America basically to go and do your own thing, or when did that sort of take hold?
That just happened. I would say in February. Honestly, that kind of just went super quick. So I was always. It was kind of like I don't know. I always like to say, you don't know what you don't know, right? And then you know what you know, and there's a process you go through. Like you don't know something, and then you know you figure it out, and then you realize you know something, and then you're like, all right, what am I gonna do with this, right? So whenever I first like, I was like, I want to run marketing for one of the biggest corporations in America that I always like thought was fun because it was always like Budweiser. I like the joys of like beer marketing. I like beer, but like just like you can do. I love live music and I love like entertainment. So like beer goes hand in hand with all that. And I was like, well, this is like perfect for me. And then once I got into everything, I was like, okay. I was like, well, I I always had a job doing sales and marketing, but it was always more sales than marketing. And it was always so much red tape around like just getting a marketing position, like the bureaucracy part of it. And I was just like, huh.
Mm.
And I was like, well, maybe, it's just my area. And so then, I gave I gave it time. So like I said, I worked for Budweiser for about 7 years. And and then like once I started realizing, I'm like, all right, a lot of like, and it's not everywhere, and it's not. I'm not trying to blanket everything, but it's just like you realize like a lot of the people you work with, you start talking to people, you're like, all right, you're not really happy. You're just here because it's a paying job.
Yeah.
I did my background is like I had an undergrad in marketing, and then I went back and had to like get my MBA because I couldn't find a job. So I was like, well, if I get an MBA, and then you start getting into like a rat race with yourself, which is never good. But I mean, I did learn a lot of valuable stuff during my MBA. But then I got to the point where I'm working for this large corporation that I like love. Like I love the product, I love everything about it. Not so fond of the leadership, but I love the brand and I love the company, even
Yeah.
though like the company, did whatever they did. But so then it was just getting to the point where, I was starting to talk to people, and then everybody, whenever someone says that's just the way it is, like that's a huge red flag. Like people say that all the time, and I've been in so many. I've worked for so many companies in so many different fields and just so many different areas, and that's I would say almost 99.9% of the companies that I've ever worked for, big companies, I've had more than a handful of people just say that's the way it is. You don't like it, leave. And it's something that's just like, on small things, you're like, man, you can't even like make compromises. Like some companies are so big, they don't have to worry about anything going wrong until it's too late, because they have, billions of dollars they can just throw it to fix the problem. You just throw money to fix anything if you're so big. But when you're a smaller company, like you can't just say that. Like you have to hear everything out. And so that was kind of like where I was like, that's when like a lot of red flags starting to get raised, and that's when I'm starting to pay more attention.
Yeah.
And then I'm just like, well, if I'm giving you these ideas and then you're just telling me that's just the way it is, and then I'm actually getting like quote unquote reprimanded for doing the right things. And the reason I'm doing the right things, because I believe in doing the right thing is always doing the right thing. But when someone wants you to do something you don't particularly believe in, and like you back it with facts, they just said, well, that's the way it is, you can deal with it. I'm like, all right. And so I kind of had that built up for quite a while, and then COVID happened. I had a few family emergencies that I had to deal with, and I was pretty much unable to work, due to traveling and everything for about 4 weeks, right? Almost a month, a little over a month.
Yep.
But just the way like everything was handled, and then like just no like remorse or like no empathy like towards me at all, and especially someone who's moved states for a company and did all this stuff for 7 years. Like, all right, I'm not asking for a lot, I'm asking for a little bit. And then plus I've had all this like built up stuff in a bag, and then I just realized I was like, well, if I'm unhappy, I've already been unhappy for X amount of years, and then you're gonna just light the bag on fire. I was like, all right, well then I want out. And so that's kind of where like the NFT thing came on, because during all this stuff, I've always been into crypto, but I've been on the sideline. I wasn't personally I was on the sideline probably since last year, definitely all 2020, a little bit 2019. Like I was always into it, but I never put my own money. I just followed it. Like I followed articles.
Yep.
And then finally I got really, really deep into it, probably last November. And then I'm like, okay, I started making my plays. I'm like, all right, well, I'm going to start putting X amount of money. And whenever I see something that I like, I'm going to just go on. And so then that's when, whenever the VeeFriends thing was going on, I was like, all right, I'm saving up money for this. This is going to be my first, my shootout. This is going to be my whatever. And so, and then at this point in time, I had to leave my job, like I said, because of family stuff and because of all the other stuff. So then I'm like, all right. So I spent that. So I had to do that, and that was early April. So April, May, I was 24/7, 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. I was studying everything I could. I was like, how do I do this? What do I do?
Everything there was to know.
Everything. I'm going down the rabbit hole, hardcore. And then finally, when all the VeeFriends, when it officially launched, I was like, all right, I'm sniping. So I didn't end up getting the ones that I ended up were my number one choices, but I got my number two choice, and then I ended up having enough money to buy another one. And so then that's kind of where I did, I went all in on that, all the money that I could at the time, which was everything I had extra at the time, because I believed. And then that kind of just led into me again continuously learning about everything, and taking I've always been into photography and the creative aspect of things. And so that's where I was like, all right, well, this is where I need to this is where I can now position myself, because I didn't have the amount, I didn't have the capital to start a whole brand from like beginning, from like the ground, like, pre NFTs, because, you have to have a lot of capital and a lot of time and stuff. So then I had a lot of stuff going on, but I was just like, all right, well, now with the NFTs, I was like, I can get the ball rolling.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not going to say it's going to be rolling down like hill full steam,
but it can begin.
It's going to be moving in the right direction. It's like, even if I mess up, or, if I, don't do some things that I'm supposed to do because I don't know, I was like, at least I'm getting the ball going in the right direction. So that's kind of like where I've been the last couple months, and it's been like, it's been a fun learning curve. It's been something where, I've been working on my last 5 years with a company being absolutely like miserable, where you wake up miserable, you go to sleep miserable, and then to like being able to wake up like actually in a good mood, talk to other people in a good mood, have people you can like speak to, like, and actually relate to, and they get your enthusiasm and they share your enthusiasm. And that's the biggest driver.
It can be such a massive change, man. Like in a similar sense, like I still sort of work a full-time job, but I actually made a conscious decision. I've talked about it in the podcast before, where I was working at similarly, right, federal government agency here in Australia, and it was, you'd wake up kind of dreading wanting to actually continue the work and going, actually, I'm going to go take a pay cut, go do something else that I actually enjoy. I'm going to get the passion of actually waking up, going and working somewhere, and you're motivated to do stuff. So I wanted to unpack a couple of things there, Jeremy, but I think holistically, I wanted to ask you, have you always been a pretty big risk taker? So I think a lot of people who look into NFT, especially those who I talk to every now and again, around the question of NFTs, explaining NFTs at the moment is still a little bit of an unknown thing. I think there's a broader population now who understand cryptocurrency, and here, even in Australia here, there's a couple of our larger banks which are starting to go down the path of you can invest in crypto through the banking system. Have you always been a risk taker, and how do you go about explaining to people how you bought 2 VeeFriends for how much they were at the time? Because I can tell you, you're having conversations with people, there's how much a VeeFriends cost and how much they cost at the beginning, and they go, wow, that's a massive risk. So what does that mean to you?
So for me, being a risk taker, it's so funny, because I always tell like all my friends this, and all my friends like who know me, just they understand it. But for someone like look on the outside looking in that has like no idea, like I'm like a inverse bell curve, right? Like you have, this. I was like, I am 100% no risk or 100% all risk, and I hate the middle.
Yeah,
that's like that's me. Like I hate the middle, because like I feel like a lot of people who are in the middle, because I've been there, and the reason I hate it is not because like I'm judging people. It's the reason I hate it, because I was like, I've been there before, and I don't like the way that it feels. Like if you're in the middle, you're content, and you may or may not be happy. If you're happy, that's awesome. Continue doing it. But most people, especially me, like most people I talk to, they're in the middle, and they might say they're happy, but they're not happy. They're not happy with either their job or a life decision, or they have dreams that they feel they're holding their like back on themselves. So they're like, I'm just going to do this because it's safe, and this is what everybody else does. I'm doing this because this is just what people, quote unquote, that's what people do.
Yeah.
And so I hate that. So I'm just like, well, I'm either like 100, like not where I'll say like 100% in or 100% out. Like if I'm out, that means I'm happy. I'm doing exactly what I want to do. Everything's going my way. So I don't want to take any more risk, right? Like I'm going to be shilling whatever I can, like extra, saving up on investments, throwing stuff in the stock market, and just sitting on my hands, being happy, enjoying the moment. But 100% on the risk taker side, like I am now, when you just flat out leave your job, you have no income, but like just like even when I'm like taking risks, like I'm saving money, right? So I'm preparing for a bomb to blow. So then on the 100%, when you leave your job in the absolute worst time in the job market, and one of the worst states for trying to find a good job. Like it's absolutely insane. Like I've had all my friends tell me how it's like crazy and blah blah blah. I'm insane. but I was just like, well, I was like, something needs to change. And I was like, I'm one of those people who I know if I stay in the middle, I'm gonna get content too. So I was like, I don't want to be content. I want a fire under my ass one way or the other. Like if I get burned, then I will at least try something else. It's like, it's always, I was like, if you're not happy, you got to figure out a way, you know, to make yourself happy again. So then whenever I was like looking for like the VeeFriends and everything, and I had so many friends told me, like, literally say it was quote unquote fucking stupid to buy in on this.
Yeah.
It's a fucking JPEG. It's stupid. And quote unquote NFTs are a scam. And they were always like, well, I was like, oh yeah, I've heard of the Gary guy, but everybody's saying his NFT is gonna be a scam too. And I was like, all right. I was like, well, apparently I was like, do you even know who he is? I was like, and they were just like, yeah, he's a bit. I was like, all right. I go, before he was even big, I was like, I follow this dude on social media for like 10 plus years. And the reason I followed him is not because like I thought he was amazing, which I do, but I was like, it's because we had a similar mindset on, you know, just like brainwaves. Like I was always considered like an underdog, and everybody always told me I couldn't do something. And then I come back, do it, blow the smokes off of it. And then they can't believe it. And instead of being proud of me, everybody's like, you know, they're pissed off, or they're pissed off that I made it or I did something.
Yeah, I was gonna say pissed off because you succeeded.
Yeah, pissed off because you succeeded. Like if someone tells you can't do something and then you do it, and you're like, not like fuck you, but like you're like fuck you, like I can do it, and I did it better than you can do it. A lot of people, especially, and the sad part is a lot of companies, they don't like that, and they'll hold that against you, and they'll, instead of like promoting you, which they should, they'll like demote you or try to get you to leave, which is a big problem, I think, that's in the big business world. But my friends were just like, they were just like, how could, like, you know, how can you do this? And I was like, I followed this guy for like over 10 years. And I was like, we've always had the same aspect of, you know, always just wanting to do the right thing, even if you get burned, because like that's just how you grew up and you were taught by your parents, and you know you're doing all this. And I was like, I can relate to him, and I was like, and I'm really, really, really good at telling when people are lying to me. I was like, I am like a human lie detector. I'm pretty damn good. And I was like, and I can read people really well. I was like, yeah. I wanted, like, I was about to be a psychologist until I figured out that how much you had to go to school for. And I was like, yeah, I'm gonna stick with my I was like, I don't want to do that. And it's not, I was like, eight years of school does not sound fun. So I did that, and I believe, like, he's never lied, and I've always followed him, and then I'd like follow his business decisions. I'm like, yeah, it's like, it makes perfect sense. Like, oh, if I was him, and if my feet were in his shoes, I was like, I would make those exact same decisions every single time. And then when he does something, I'll look at it from a different angle. I'm like, yeah, that's really smart. Or I'll just see the point of view he's coming from. I was like, it always makes sense, and it's always backed with, you know, like good intent, not malicious intent. I was like, okay. I was like, that's why I followed this guy for 10 years, and that's why, you know, I was like, he gives me hope that good people can make it in business. I was like, I was like, he is the literal beacon of light. I was like, I've been burned at every single job I have. I still have hope because there's people like him out there. And I was like, he is the reason that I believe that business can, you know, be good and not malicious. Yeah. And so when my friends, a lot of my friends were like talking to me, and like, I almost went like super risky on a couple stocks before too, because like I said, I'm either 100% in or 100% out. So I almost threw. I had like my quote unquote not like life savings, but I had like my quote unquote like oh shit savings that I was going to YOLO into two stocks at the time. It was like $10,000, which I don't. That's like a lot to me. To some people, that's like nothing. But like that's like $10,000 to me is like $1 million to some people. And so I was like, all right, I'm gonna put all this in Tesla. And my friend was like, no, that's stupid. You should never put all of that in. And I was just like, I don't know. I feel like they're gonna do something. I don't know what it is. And that was right when everybody was like shorting it. It's like, I just feel like this is gonna take off. They're like, no, don't put it in. And then I'll see how it plays out. And so I listened to him. I didn't do it. I set up my hands. I didn't do anything. And then, you know, and then it went up It went up 100%. And then, so then now I'm like, well, I'm not going to throw $10,000 if it went up 100%. Like, I still believe in the stock, but it's just like, well, if it goes up 100%, that's a tough, like, that's like being just balls out, like shooting from the hip. I was like, I don't want to do that. And so I ended up not doing it. And then what does it do? 100, and it splits. And then like my mind goes boom. Like if I would have just done what I wanted to do and not listen to somebody on that call, I would have been, I mean, I don't know if you would call it a millionaire, but it was, it was buying the stock around, I think it was right around under $200 a share. And then now
wow, okay.
It's split times 5. And then it doubled again.
Yeah.
So take that $10,000, like you're looking at, 500 to, I don't know the math right now, but 500,000 to $1 million like that. So,
but a substantial upside from that original risk, but because everyone was sort of saying at the time, no,
so you're like,
you shouldn't do that.
And so then I had the same feeling about a year later when Amazon tanked. At the time, Amazon tanked down to about $1,500, and I was like, I'm about to YOLO 10 grand into this. And then I was talking to a couple of different friends, and like again, financial friends, and then stuff. They were just like, well, they're like, I would buy a couple, but I was like, they're like, don't ever put all that. Like, what happens if it goes to zero? Like, Amazon, if Amazon goes to zero, the world's going to zero. Like,
there's some bigger issues as well. Then
I was like, no. I was like, have you seen everything? I was like, no, there's absolutely no way. And then, and I used to work at UPS, so I know all the logistics stuff. And I'm just like, I was like, this is a big deal. This is a really big deal. And then again, I didn't do it, but this time I was like, well, I'm not gonna let you rain on my parade. I bought a few shares. I think I bought 4 shares.
Yep.
And then since those 4 shares, it doubled. And I was just like, well, if I would have done it, I was like, if I would have put all the money in, I would have been sitting on not like nowhere near the crazy Tesla, which would have been close to $1 million. This one would have been closer to a couple 100,000. And I'm sitting out, like I'm still up, I'm still up on the 4 that I do have. But then I got to the point where I was like, all right, that's 2 times in a row that I let outsiders influence me, and I'm the one pissed off. I was like, I don't have any problem if I get burned, and if I fuck up and it's on me, then that's on me. But I was like, I let someone else persuade me on my decision, and I'm the one being burned, and they're going on not even losing sleep on it, and I am. So I was like, they're like life lesson right there. Don't just do what you think's right, and like really, really, if you really, 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 really believe it, do it.
Yeah.
So then that's when the NFTs. Then the next time I talk to those same people, and I just tell them, I go, I'm buying these NFTs.
I'm getting it. Yeah.
They're like, you're an idiot. And they're like, I think that's stupid. And I'm like, I'm just letting you know. I was like, I'm buying these. I'm telling you this, not for you to shit on me. I'm telling you this because I want you to buy them too. I was like,
exactly.
I was like, buy them. And they're like, well, no. How do you know? And I was just like, you buy them. I go, you buy Ethereum and you hold on it, and then you do all the stuff, and then when it comes out, you just buy it. And they're like no, like NFTs are a fad. They're gonna go away.
Yeah, scam, gonna go away.
I'm just like, I'm trying to. They're like, don't do it. Don't do it. I'm like, all right. Well, I told you what to do, and I'm gonna do what I'm gonna do. And so I was like, I'm just letting you know. So like I bought them, and then because all my friends were like, oh, Ethereum already had this round. It's never gonna go up. I was like, you haven't seen nothing yet. I was like, now those same friends are like. They still don't even want to acknowledge it. Like, oh, it's gonna come back down. It's not gonna last. This is all a fad. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
But yeah. So then that's when I was able to, I ended up buying my first one that I wanted to buy.
What was your first one?
Adaptable Alien.
Adaptable Alien.
I wanted to buy that one, so I went. So I actually was like, I was in the Discord, and I know like Gary was in there at the time that was going on, and I was just like. I was like, oh shit, the one that I wanted just sold out. And then Gary was like, oh, which one did you want? And I was like, the Adaptable Alien. He was like, ooh. He was like, yeah, that one just sold out. So then I'm like looking through everything because like I love aliens. So I love aliens. So then I was like, all right. So then I found like the Impeccable Nostronet, and I'm like, that's an alien. I was like, okay. I was like, there's a play on words on that too. So then like I kind of got happier with that. Because I was like, all right, well, I was like, I wanted the Adaptable Alien. And I was like, I still want that. But I was like, I think this one's like a sleeper one because I'm like, this one kind of relates to Gary, and it's an alien, and it's like two different types of alien, like a space alien and then like, you know, an immigrant alien. That's cool.
Yeah.
I was like, I totally relate to the underdog and he's and the characters flipping everybody off. And I was like, that's like perfect. That's like me. I love this thing. I was like, this is the one I'm never gonna ever sell in my life. I'm gonna hold this one until like I almost die. And then I since I knew I was gonna be holding that one forever, I ended up pouring a little bit more money in because I wanted one more just in case I do need money to flip like way down the line. But I was like, I'm never gonna let go of the impeccable announcer. That one I'm keeping. But I was like, I do want one that if I need to, like later on down the line, cash out and get a sweet reward on it. So then I ended up getting one of the very rare fireflies.
So, very nice.
But so yeah, that one's like super weird because like nobody's ever talked about it, and then nobody knows what the VRs do. So I was like, it's whatever. I don't even plan on selling them until way down the line. But I was like, I just went all in. And plus, when I have a real bad habit when I collect things of like never selling them, so I just like kind of like hold on to them forever.
Yeah,
like all my stuff. Like, well, I mean, if you can actually like has a piece.
I mean, if you can, right? Like if you've got your your normal everyday cash flow and whatnot, that you don't have to sell a lot of these things. And look, eventually, that's probably going to be the bigger payoff. So I recall, man, I bought a rare hypos, and I think it got up to 4 or 5 Ethereum, right? And I went, oh, okay, there's a good, like maybe if I treat it as an investment, and I started looking at the taxation implications and whatnot. And then, in my mind, I thought, nah, actually, I'll hold it. I don't actually need to go and sell it and whatnot. And obviously, then it's just skyrocketed from there.
Yeah.
And it's obviously off all-time highs. But I'm now in the same mentality of, unless something drastic happens where I need to go and sell these things, no, they're going to stick around for me for a very, very long time. And just kind of being in that journey as well of what we don't yet know what rares do, very rares, what do the specs do, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Even just for the conference stuff, like that's going to be awesome. And who knows what else comes down the line, right? From NFT perspective, I want to make sure I ask you this question. 2 things. One, after obviously getting into VeeFriends, did you also go into any other NFTs as well? And then talk to me a little bit about what is the name. Let me just bring it up. Your latest NFTs. I know that you actually just recently like published your own NFTs. So I was trying to get the idea around that photography and what you're doing now. Because I had a quick look actually just before we started chatting, and I saw the haunted photo. So I wanted to get your take on one, how it was actually walking around there, and what made you go down that path.
So what was your first question? I got too excited on this thing.
No. The first one, no. Did you jump into any other NFTs, like any other projects?
Oh yeah. So as soon, like literally, I think VeeFriends ignited like a crack rush inside my body. It was like champagne just shot off. Once I bought, I was so scared buying it, like buying it because it's a lot of money that you're waiting like 30 seconds to 2 minutes to like connect. And, like I'm sitting on my chair about to shit my pants going, did it get scammed? Like freaking 100%. Out. So then like after I did that and then I saw how it works, I saw kind of the lay of the land, and then I started getting into like a few other ones. And then like obviously since whenever we got in, we were like literally like the people walking on untarnished dirt. Like we're the ones leaving the footprints for everybody else. Yeah. So I never aped into anything, but I did buy into a couple other things that I really, really like. And then I bought into some stupid things not stupid things, but I actually like the art, but I bought into some things that I know it's going to be the quote unquote Gary, like goes to zero. And I'm like, oh, but the reason I bought it is because I like the art. So I was like, I'm not going to sell it for a profit. So at least I was like, that's going to be a little lesson that I'm going to look at every single day, just to think, hey, don't buy stupid shit. But yeah, so one of the ones, like I said, I love aliens. So I don't know if you've heard of the Alien Boy.
I have heard of them.
NFT. Yep. That community is hilarious. Like, everybody in there, like it's just like it's like people you play Call of Duty with, like back in the day. Like you'd be on Xbox just like joking with people. Like it's funny, and it was a pretty low cost entry for me. I think I got it back at the time. I ended up scooping 2 of them. I think I paid total altogether 0.1 for I think both of, or 0.1 or 0.15 for both of them. So that, at the time that was low. I mean, now 0.1 is kind of a lot of Ethereum, but still, I really like their project. I think they're doing cool stuff. They keep everybody engaged, and I like aliens. So anybody who likes aliens, like I'll sit there and talk to you. like it's cool being with that, community. And then a couple other ones that I was in. I got into Stoner Cats just because I like the
cool.
and I like animated cartoons. So the people who made like Family Guy and all that, and then of course Vitalac or whatever from Ethereum, he's on it. So I was like, all right. I was like, I like cartoons, and I feel like this is going to be a sleeper project. I think this is going to be something that may take a long time to get off the ground. But I think it'll get off the ground. And then I ended up getting a couple ones. And my most recent one that I spent all my last Ethereum on was the Women and Weapons. I ended up.
Oh yes,
I was super bummed out. I missed out on the World of Women, and that was all on me because I know Gary pumped it super hardcore, and I was like looking at it. I wasn't able to get one off the website, so I was like, eh. And so then I was looking through OpenSea for one that I might like on the secondary market, and then I couldn't find one that I really, really liked. And then like the 2 that I did like, they were like 0.5 at the time. Again, this was like still when everything's brand new, and I was just like, oh, 0.5 or something I don't even know about. I was like, I'm scared to buy 0.5 at VeeFriend. What's a VeeFriend? I was like, I don't know about that.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know. I was like, still too new for my blood. And so then I pumped the brakes, and then like facepalm. I'm like, oh, I should have just listened to Gary. I was like, why did I second guess? And then it went like shot up. Like, damn it. But then the Women and Weapons one, I know Gary has been talking about it forever, and I wasn't able to get one off the mint. So I just stalked it because I didn't have that much ETH left. So I stalked it because one, I had to pay the gas because the gas fee is absolutely insane. Right now. Insane. Yeah. And so I didn't have enough gas to launch my project. Like I wanted to launch my project on October 13th, and I had to wait damn near a month because gas was like $300 to $500 every single day. I didn't even have that in ETH. I was like, I can't do that. I go, plus I'm a new project. I don't want to YOLO it. I was like, I'm gonna have to do a lot of marketing. I was like, nobody knows. I was like, even if I do put it on there, I was like, nobody's gonna give a shit that I put it on there. I was like, it just doesn't make sense. So I was like, I'm just gonna hold and wait for it to go down. And so I held, finally waited for it to go down, and it went down low enough that I could afford it. And so then I was like, all right, I can afford this. Launched it because like if ETH shoots back up, I was like, I'm not gonna be able to afford it. So I was like, I'm launching it now. I was like, because like that was the first time I launched. When you're on OpenSea, you have to do that first initial pay, and I never sold anything. I said I don't sell it. Like I'm not a big flipper. I'm not a flipper of NFTs. So whenever I bought everything, I just bought it to hold. So I had to pay that selling fee. So I was like, all right. And so then I had a little bit extra, and then all the women, like Gary's over here, he's like secretly hyping the Women and Weapons. So if you listen to him, you could tell like he knows something's going on with them. And I'm like, all right. And I actually do. I like that. I personally like that project 100% more than the World of Women, and not because of the creators or anything, because I like the art better. I like the weapons. I like that art speaks to me better than where I know the philosophy of the World of Women is creator, but I still like the art better of Women and Weapons. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna find something I really, really like. And so then I found the one that I liked, and then gas again shot up. I couldn't afford it with gas. And I was like, all right. So then I found one. So hilariously, I found one that like resembled my mom, and I was like, I had to buy it. So I bought that one, and I could afford it, and I was like, I'm happy with it. And so then I was able to do that, and so that took all my ETH. But like that's pretty much all the NFTs I have outside of, because I didn't get any of the airdrops from the VeeFriend things yet. The only one I was able to get was the Avatar one that you had to pay the gas, or you had to be fast to claim it or whatever. That's the only one I got. Did you get any of them?
I tried the Avastars one, and I was in there literally. I think I just put too low gas, and I would just watch it go from the very top all the way down, and I went, "God damn!" But I ended up getting airdropped one of the drops. So
you got the drops.
Yeah. So nice. The drop, and that one was completely by accident because I didn't even think about it until all of a sudden I checked, and I went, "Oh man, I actually did get one." Holy, because I missed out on the Dapper Dinos, Grills, all the others. So. Yeah, but no, tell me, man, about your project. So give me a little spiel. What is it about? Why did you decide to do it in the haunted, that haunted spirit and photography?
So like I said, I've always photography ever since I was a kid has been just something that I fell in love with as a kid. I used to just love old cameras. Like I didn't really know how to use them, but I just collected them. I used to go to the thrift store with my grandma. I saw an old camera or something at the store, and I was like, "Oh, I gotta buy this. It'd be super cheap." And I was like, "This looks cool." I was like, "That's history." So then I'd always collect them, and then I got to the point where I got older and I was taking pictures of things. I was like, "Oh, this is actually kind of fun." But I was like, "I don't think." I was like, everybody that I know that makes money off photography makes it on weddings. And I was like, I would rather stab myself in the foot than be a wedding photographer. I was like, that sounds like zero fun. I was like, you either make someone's day or you ruin their life. I was like, and plus, I was like, I don't like taking pictures of people. It's just not fun. I was like, I'm more of a creative, make you think kind of person rather than, hey, let me make you look beautiful. But so that's kind of when I went the transition that I decided to go all in on that. Cause that's one of my biggest passions, photography and music are my biggest passion. So then I'm like, all right, well, how can I make my passions into something that I can hope to make money out of later on the road? So then the NFT game came, and I was like, all right, all these people, all these big photographers and everything start selling theirs, and I was like, all right, that's cool. I was like, I like that. I go, well, the cool thing about NFTs is that gives you a fair playing field. I don't have to go up to some gallery and have somebody shit on me, oh, your picture's stuck, or you're not what we're looking for, or whatever. I was like, I can just put my stuff out there, and genuinely, the best thing about it, Gary says this all the time too, but it's it always struck home to me. The best thing about it is if you're just truly passionate about what you do and you put it out there, and let's just say 85% of the people think it's trash, but then you have 15% of the people, maybe there's 15 people in the world, maybe 15 people just look at it and they're like, that's really, really cool. And then, well, you just share, you went from having no people like it to having 15 people you can talk to about passions, and then you can talk to them about theirs, why they like it, because obviously they like it. You have something in common, so that's super cool. It's something that that can bring people together. So I decided I wanted to just throw my hat in it. So my first project that I wanted to launch I was back home in Kentucky. And in Kentucky, I don't know if you're you ever watch those they have them on YouTube and the Travel Channel and stuff, but I don't know if you ever seen the shows most haunted places in the world.
I know exactly. Yeah, I know which ones you're talking about. So yeah, it's there's TV shows most haunted, and they go to those places.
Yeah, it's
and I'm pretty sure I have heard of the one that you took photos to. Yeah.
So the place that I went is one of the top 10 most haunted spots in the United States. I don't know about the world. I think it's in the world too. Definitely top 100 in the world, but I know 100% top 10 in the United States. But this place called Waverly Hills Sanitarium. It was a sanitarium for people who had TB back in the early 20s.
20s, yeah.
Yeah, back when they didn't know how to treat it, and it was that was a real epidemic and just killing people all the time. So this place has been it's been in Louisville obviously since its existence, but it's been open to the public for tours. I would say for at least 20, if not longer, years. And so I love haunted stuff. I love scary stuff. I love Halloween season. I love spooky season. That's right up my alley. Yeah. So I was back home, and like I said, for September, and my sister. I've been to Waverly Hills, probably altogether throughout my life, probably 15 times.
Oh wow!
But this time is the first and only time I was able to stay all night there.
Yeah. Okay.
So my sister ended up buying me tickets to stay all night there, and I was super pumped. She ended up coming with me, and I was like, this is awesome. I've been wanting to do, because they only started doing the overnight tours open to people, I think within the last, I want to say like the last 5 years.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
I've been out in California, so I haven't been able to do it. So this is like my only shot to do it, because they only do it in seasons. So I was like, all right, cool. So I was like, I'm gonna bring my camera, and I was like, I'm gonna try to do. I want this, even if it doesn't turn out the way that I want it to be, I want this to be my first project, because it means it's like my essence. It's like stuff that I like to do, what a lot of people don't like to do. And I was like, I think this shit is cool. So we were there overnight, and I got a lot of pictures, and the stuff that I take pictures of is like kind of what a lot of people don't, what normal people really wouldn't take pictures of, or like really look at, because I look at things and I want to, whenever I see something, I want to know the story behind it, the reason it got to be the reason that it is. Yeah. I know the real story, but the real story, like whenever you look at something, you don't know everything that's happening. So it's crazy. And so I've seen personally, like whenever I went there for like I said, I've been there a lot. I used to go there and I'd see things. Like I'd see a lot of the ghosts. I'd hear things. Like, this is really cool, but I never could capture it. I was like, man, how cool would it be? It's like if I had my first NFT, like if I want this to be my first NFT project. Yeah. Like I'm trying to like Bob for apples here. I was like, if I can capture one thing, I think that would be absolutely cool. And I shot all night. I took like almost 1,000 photos, and I looked through everything, and then I wanted to. So the reason I laid off my NFT project the way that I laid it off. So Waverly Hills, I based it around 13, like the number 13. One, because Halloween, everybody likes like 13, Friday the 13th, whatever. 13 is like just that eerie number, right? Yep. But so Waverly Hills opened to the mass, like pretty much to the mass public for TV in 1926. So in 1926 was half of that 13. So that's why I wanted to launch my project on either October 13th or October 26th, but I couldn't do it. But so then I was like, all right. So then I wanted to do something a little different too with my project. So because I'm not a well-known, not a well-known, like I'm even known at all. I'm a pretty much nobody in the NFT photography space, right? I'm somebody who just technically an active enthusiast, but who has passion for it, and that's what I want to do. But like I've worked years to like tailor my photography skills. So I was like, well, this is the absolute best way I can get started. So then so I was like, how can I make this creative? So I wanted to make it, out of all those pictures I took, I found the 13 best ones. I wanted to make it a 13 piece. But I also, because everybody's doing a 1 of 1, I didn't want it to be just a 1 of 1. Well, I wanted to give a little bit of extra value. So whenever I do start marketing, at least people may, instead of spending like half a second, maybe they'll spend 2 seconds. I was like, even if they don't buy it, if they just look at it and like appreciate it, I was like, that's worth money to me. I was like, that's cool. I was like, if you look at it and you're like, hey, this is cool. I was like, if you buy it, that's awesome. And if you don't, like, that's still cool that you even took time to look at it and appreciate it. So I wanted to put, everybody's doing like just one single piece. I wanted to do mine. And I still want to do it going forward. I want to do bundle pieces. Like I want to sell my stuff as a bundle. So this particular one has a full color and a black and white. And the reason that I did that is because I'm one of those people, especially nowadays, there's a lot of people who see things one way, and then the other people just try to see things in black and white. So my goal is to get people to look at both pictures and appreciate them for what they are. That's the essence of it. Like to look at, like, yeah, you can see things in full color. Yeah, you can see things in black and white. Both are right. Both have a point, but appreciate it for what that piece is. And then I wanted to make it 2 pieces instead of just selling one piece as a part, like as solo. Because if you buy both pieces, I was like, then like if you want to flip one, that's even cooler. Like if you bought one and then you because I think I put my price just 0.26 because again,
it
started in 26, so it's all kind of like aligned in a chain. So I did it. I just decided I was like, it's kind of, you know, going on a long shot, but again, learning curve. I was like, I want to do 0.26 just because that's when Waverly Hill started, 1926. And so, and you get two pieces. So it's like, if you buy one and then you sell one for like 0.13, or you sell one for whatever, like, whatever you sell it for, like, if you like it and someone else likes it, like, if you get your money back and if you make money, that's even cooler. Like, that's awesome. But I wanted to give people an opportunity, like, to show, like, because I've always been one of those people that don't really care about the money. Like, I live pretty minimalistically. Like, I just like my main things like concerts and like just like visiting foreign countries. But other than that, like, I don't have anything fancy. I don't have fancy, like, I don't have a fancy car. I rent. It's like I live pretty simple. So I just wanted to do something that I would be happy of buying myself. And so if someone did that, I would personally be more enough to buy their stuff, showing like, hey, you know, I'm gonna give you two pieces, and hopefully, you know, you can sell one later on down the road. So one you might not, or if you like color, sell the black and white, or if you like black and white, sell the color. So, and then another thing that I'm going to start marketing, whenever I get a like, you know, a little bit more time. But I want to make things different, and I want to make things so that other people have never done before. So one of my big marketing toys is going to be, if I want to do like a raffle, right? So all the people who end up buying it, after the entire piece sells out, you know, hopefully it does. But like after, like, however many years, I don't care how many years it takes. Like if it's like 10 years from now, whatever. Like hopefully it all sells out, and then what I want to do is I want to do like a raffle where those people who bought the initial ones, I want to put them into like one of those drawings, and I want to have a top three. I got an idea what I'm going to do for second and third, but I want to see whoever wins. I want to send them and someone else to an all expense paid 3-day trip to Louisville, Kentucky, where I'm from, and I want to buy them an overnight stay. Like,
I was going to say that. How cool would that be, right?
That's what I want, because whenever I was growing up and like doing things, I'm a solo traveler. I haven't made it to Australia yet, but you're still on my map. I've always gone places, but nobody ever like wants to get out of their comfort zone. So I go to places by myself. Like I went to Japan by myself. I went to a bunch of random places. Like I went to Costa Rica by myself, a bunch of random places by myself. Nobody else wants to go. So I was like, I'm not going to let you run my fun. I was like, I'm going to have fun just meeting other people. So I would go out and do all of that. So, but most of the time people would go out, they had the idea of it, but for them to make the decision in their head, and for them to like make the decision, go to the computer, like look up their stuff, make all this, like that overwhelms a whole bunch of people. Like, I can't, that's just too much. I don't want to do it. And I'm just like, well, you're missing out on a lot of stuff. And then like, they're like, oh, we're so jealous that you get to do all this stuff. Well, you can do it too. I was like, it's not the money. I go, I guarantee you. I was like, I do everything on a
budget,
tight budget, like hairline budget. I was like, I just plan it for the right times. I was like, if you want it bad enough, you can figure it out. And people were like, oh, no. I was like, well, you might not want it that. That's fine. You know, you don't have to want it that. I was like, I do, so that's why I do it. But so that's kind of what I wanted to do, especially like given like, because you know, a lot of people, especially now, they have like the photography NFT. Some of them are bad at. They're really good. But you know, it's just what it is. Like, you know, it's a picture. But and that's what you're like. I'm not an art. I love art, but I'm one of those people. Like, if I see an awesome NFT that I don't like love, I'm cool with just like looking at it on the screen. Like, hey, that's awesome.
Yeah.
But like, if I see something I love, it's like I gotta have it. So I'm like, I collect things, and I collect things that have a meaning to me. So I want to give people a chance to do the stuff that I get to do that they might not, that they want to do, but they might not necessarily pull the trigger to do.
Gotcha.
So that's kind of what I want to add. Like, hey, you know, once you buy my art, I was like, I'm not a quote unquote artist. I was like, I'm a real life person that likes being creative, but I like to get people to step out of the comfort zone. So I was like, if I can at least get you to buy my stuff I was like, if you're gonna go buy a lottery ticket for something, I was like, I'd much rather you buy. I was like, I'd much rather be the person like I can give you like an awesome chance to go to like one of the coolest, most haunted places in the world, you know, and then visit my hometown, which is awesome too. I was like, it's like a lot of people I talk to, especially being in California, they've heard of Louisville, Kentucky, but like despite like the Kentucky Derby, a lot of people like don't go, but they want to go. I'm like, all right, well, if I can offer somebody, you know, hey, you have a, if you believe in like my art and you believe in me, I was like, trust me, I was like, I'm not going anywhere for like the next 20 years. Like even if I post stuff and nobody buys a single one, it's like I'm still gonna be here posting stuff. I was like, if everything goes the way that I want it to go, and each project I do, I want to incorporate something like that where you know it's kind of like a lottery and somebody wins something. I was like, if I do that, and then I was like, you're one of those lucky people that get to go and you have an awesome experience. Like that means everything to me, because that'll then allow me to, you know, help you do something that you totally wouldn't do if you didn't look at it, or if you weren't ready to like to pull the trigger yourself. You see an excuse to go on a vacation because then you're not going to pay for anything.
Exactly. I like also that you're kind of like, we talked about this a little bit earlier, the whole some people can be a little bit risk averse, right, and not wanting to pull the trigger. So it's almost, you know, come and believe in me, and if you enjoy, you know, what I'm putting forward in these photography, then I'll take away some of the risk, because you might go in the chance, and I'll take you there. Like I'll let you go there, rather than you as an individual going, I don't want to pull a trigger to go all the way down there and make the travel or whatnot. Kind of help out that individual and go, look, you might win this, and then go and enjoy yourself, and then, you know, explore Kentucky and see where those photos actually came from in real life.
Yeah, that's my main thing. I just want people to experience things, because so many people like that not even that I talk to, a lot of my day one friends, they don't, I don't want to say courage, because that's mean, or that's not what I mean, but they don't have like the emotional like headspace to pull the trigger to just go somewhere by themselves, or just to go someplace that they're not quote unquote comfortable, whether it be using money as an excuse, or using time as an excuse, or just using something. It's like someone always finds an excuse. I was like, well, I'm gonna find a way to not let you have an excuse. Like, all you gotta do is show up. There you go. Like punch ticket, now show up.
No, that's so good. Now, Jeremy, for that particular, so for your NFTs and just you in general, what are probably the best places people can go to find all these links or information about you?
So for right now, the main thing that I'm active on, I'm like 100% active on Twitter. I check that all the time. I'm in the process of working on my Instagram, and I mean, right now it's just the main spot is going to be Twitter with the OrigamicPenguin, and then it's going to be OpenSea, OrigamicPenguin Photography, and coming soon will be Instagram, and I'm going to start a YouTube channel, just kind of like laying out everything. But again, it's a long journey, so that's the roadmap. That's where I am at now. But yeah, I'm 100% active on Twitter. So you know, if anybody ever has any questions, you know, I'll like shout out at me and I'll get back at you.
Awesome, man. And I think I love the, you know, when I went into VeeFriends, right? The whole mentality of Gary of, you know, it's a project for 45 years. And I think a lot of the other individuals in that space as well, they like to play long-term games. So, you know, some of the stuff that you're talking through now, where your project, you're not looking at it as just a short-term gain in terms of like, oh, by next week, I'm going to sell them all out and have this ETH. You're already thinking about how can I give value back to people? We'll see, you know, what that time takes, it'll take, but you'll be able to work that through. So it's always good to talk to another individual who's got that mentality as well, man. So I appreciate taking the time as well and sort of sharing with us here at the Mere Mortals, you know, who is Jeremy, you know, how life has been in California. And yeah, just another mentality, another piece from, you know, another VeeFriend member. So I look forward to you're going to be going to Veecon.
Of course. So whenever they announce the hotels, like I went on there, like he's like, all right, the list is up. I was like, boom. I was like, all right, which one? I was like, all right. I ended up I'm trying to think. I ended up just getting the Hilton, because I was all out like shit, you know. I was on there like 45 seconds after he announced it. Like 2 of them already sold out, and I was like, "Are you kidding me?" I was like, "It's been 45 seconds. How are 2 sold out?" And so then I ended up, I think it's, and I ended up getting getting that one and secured it. I was like, all right, well, at least I got my room. And then after that, I had to wait a couple of days because the flights weren't booked out that far yet.
Yep.
But yeah, I got my flight and my hotel. All I gotta do is pack my bags.
Exactly, dude. Well, look, Jeremy, look, I appreciate your time taken this afternoon for you. Thanks for having a chat. Might have to either have a deeper conversation. Like, I'd love to hear at a later point if you end up selling some of these photos as well and getting people over there. Because I want to hear other people's experiences of going to those haunted places.
For sure.
So I shit you not, I definitely would be scared shitless to go there during the daytime, let alone nighttime, dude. Let alone nighttime. So, but now I appreciate your time, Jeremy. Really appreciate it.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for making the time. Thanks for making this happen.